Turning Point: The Vietnam War is a 5-part limited documentary series created and directed by Brian Knappenberger. Released on the 30th of April 2025, it coincided with the 50th anniversary of the fall of Saigon. The documentary takes a deep dive into the origins, execution, and aftermath of the Vietnam War, one of America's most divisive and consequential military conflicts. It covers a broad timeline from the French colonialism in Indochina through to the fall of Saigon in 1975, while drawing connections to modern US interventions. The documentary has some notable interviewees, namely Dan Rather, legendary CBS journalist, Peter Arnett, a Pulitzer Prize-winning war correspondent, as well as including interviews with Vietnamese civilians and former Viet Cong fighters, as well as US veterans and protest leaders. The archival footage also includes rarely seen clips from both Vietnamese and American sources, providing a sort of fuller view of the war's human cost. The series is also a spiritual successor to Knappenberger's earlier series, Turning Point 9/11, and the War on Terror, released in 2021. Now, I found this to be a compelling 5-part docuseries, which offers a deeply human and politically charged examination of Vietnam's war origins, execution, and enduring legacy. I think what sets this series apart is its unflinching focus on personal testimonies. It features interviews with American veterans, Vietnamese survivors, anti-war activists, and journalists like Dan Rather and Peter Arnett. The first-hand accounts are complemented by archival footage and presidential recordings, providing an intimate glimpse into the war's psychological toll and moral complexities. And the series doesn't shy away from exposing the harrowing realities faced by soldiers and civilians alike, including issues like rampant drug use among troops and the tragic Operation Babylift plane crash. The documentary also delves into the political missteps that led to the prolonged conflict, highlighting the roles of Presidents Kennedy, Johnson, and Nixon. It critically examines policies like the domino theory and reveals how electoral considerations often overshadowed military strategy. By incorporating perspectives from both American and Vietnamese participants, the series provides a nuanced understanding of the war's impact on both nations. One of the most poignant and unsettling aspects of Turning Point: The Vietnam War is its deliberate, almost haunting, invocation of the idea that history repeats itself, or more precisely, that it echoes in uncomfortable and unavoidable ways. A standout line for me is when one of the journalists refers to the United States of amnesia. It's a critique not just on government policy, but on collective memory. The phrase suggests a nation quick to forget the costs of war, the lessons of overreach, and the price paid by both soldiers and civilians, only to stumble into a similar quagmire once again. The series draws chilling parallels between Vietnam and the more recent American wars, especially in Iraq and Afghanistan. The imagery cuts deep, helicopters lifting off embassy rooftops in Saigon, mirrored by evacuation scenes in Kabul, civilian casualties justified by ambiguous goals, soldiers unsure of their mission, and the persistent delusionment that follows. By juxtaposing these wars visually, sometimes in almost side-by-side comparison, the documentary doesn't need to over-explain. The viewer can feel the eerie symmetry, young troops dropped into foreign lands under vague pretenses of freedom and security, only to be caught in conflicts shaped more by politics than clear military objectives. The message is clear without being preachy. When national memory is short, the cycle of intervention, failure, and retreat can become tragically predictable. Turning Point invites viewers not only to revisit Vietnam, but to re-examine the present and question whether the lessons of the past have been truly learned or simply archived and forgotten. I found this to be an incredibly deep, emotionally weighted, and timeless documentary that once again highlights the atrocities of this conflict. They were so pointless and meaningless and led to the loss of so many lives. Albeit another interpretation of the conflict in Vietnam. For those fascinated in the history of the conflict, this is definitely one of the documentaries that you should consider watching. Albeit I wouldn't say it's the most comprehensive look at Vietnam, it does take it into context and puts it from another perspective, and therefore it is a strong retelling of one of history's most tragic events. Its blend of personal stories and political analysis offers a comprehensive look at the war that continues to influence contemporary discourse. Turning Point: The Vietnam War gets a 9 out of 10.